So DW is reporting that a large majority of Germans doubt that their military is able to defend the country in the event of a military attack. According to a survey, 17% of respondents said they believe Germany's armed forces could adequately defend the country, while 72% expressed doubt, about the military's readiness. And that's important because we've got situation escalating when it comes to Russia, Ukraine. We had a lot of talk, and there's a guy that we spoke about that's coming on the show next week. I think his name is the one that was on Daniel Davis' show. I think this gentleman. He was so he's coming on the show next week, and he put out a statement warning or advocating for Russia to strike manufacturing and warehousing capabilities. Sergei Karaganov, I think it's him.
Okay, Karaganov.
Yeah, I think he's the person that's coming on the show next week. I saw in one of our groups with the team, and he's
Sergei's a friend. He's a friend of mine.
Friend of yours, yes, I remember you told me. So he's made those threats about striking NATO. That's why that poll in Germany shows you how unprepared NATO is, which obviously we know. And there's one statement that came in today that I mentioned to you before this, and you told me, Mario, do you understand the significance of it? So this is where I ask you, Larry, where Lavrov held a phone call with Secretary of State Rubio, during which he said Russian forces will be carrying out systemic strikes on military targets in Kyiv. Lavrov also urged the U.S. to evacuate American diplomatic personnel from the Ukrainian capital, from Kyiv. And you told me this is extremely significant. I'd love you to explain what led to it and why is this so significant.
So people have been asking, why after 4 years is Russia now striking these targets? And the answer is the presence of U.S. and European officers, intelligence officers, military officers at command centers, at key government buildings, at key installations. And I believe Russia's decision not to strike prior to now was predicated on they didn't want to run the risk of killing a number of Westerners because they worried that that might lead to an escalation. Now they don't care. Now they're telling them, get out. This is not about, they're not going to be blowing up an embassy. They're going to be blowing up intelligence headquarters and branches of those headquarters, military planning facilities, any place where you would have CIA personnel located, U.S. military or NATO personnel located, those are now going to be targeted. And they've been warned, if they don't get out, they're going to be killed. So now this is Russia is taking off the gloves. It's going to hit these sites that previously it did not hit because they didn't want to run the risk of killing Westerners. Now they are going to do so. Real simple.
So how bad do you think it would get there?
If you've got a vacation condo in Kiev, don't go to it. Yeah, no, it's going to get bad. Now the Russians they're not going to be blowing up apartment buildings and pure civilian centers, but they are going to take out these military all of the military facilities. I believe there won't be a safe military or intelligence facility left, anything that can be used for targeting and or the production of drones, because the West has now crossed the line. They provided the intelligence, the coordinates that were used to attack those girls in that school. And that has now crossed the line. And the West is, this is a way that Russia can attack the West without attacking physically inside Poland, Romania, Germany, France, or the UK. But
so you're saying they're going to attack Western assets and personnel inside Ukraine, specifically?
Yes.
Shit.
That's how I read it. And that answers the question, because I had to think about this for a bit. Because people are saying, well, why are they hitting it now? And the only explanation is they avoided it in the past because there were CIA officers there, there were NATO officers there. Now, have they hit other targets where there were Westerners? Yeah, but those were perhaps, let's call them mercenaries. but now we're talking about formal presence of people who are, hold diplomatic status. And if they are there in that city and they're at any of those locations, they are going to be, they will wind up dead. And that's why Lavrov told Marco Rubio, better pull your people out. And that wasn't just about U.S. diplomats, the chargé d'affaires or the deputy chief of mission or the political counselor, the economic counselor, the consular affairs officer. No, this goes beyond that. This goes to CIA personnel and military personnel.
Cool. So I had a guest on my show today for the first time. It was a new guest the team brought on. And let me see his name. His name was, it doesn't matter.
Who was it?
Mikhail Fishman.
Mikhail Fishman, okay.
Yeah, not sure if you know him. So he made so he's just kind of updating me on Ukraine, what's happening, because I haven't been keeping close. Now his argument, obviously, just to give you an idea, his position is very critical of Russia, pro-Ukrainian. So to get you where he's coming from.
I'm shocked. Someone named Fishman. Oh heaven, how could that be?
So his position is on why now. He tried to be objective, and he said, Mario, the reason now is that Russia is struggling to gain territory. It's been slow so far this year.
Oh, for God's sake. He's still on that? Oh, for Pete's sake. Okay. They're really struggling.
So his position is like, and Putin obviously needs Donetsk, because there's no way of walking back Donetsk, and is facing a lot of pressure to end the war. He talked about a think tank that's close to the Kremlin. I should have asked him for the name, that put out a report saying striking NATO may not be a good idea because then NATO will respond. You'll have missiles fired from NATO towards Russia. And then using a tactical nuke is not a good idea because then that puts Russia in a bad, optically in a bad place on the international stage. And the drone strategy by Ukraine is making progress difficult on the ground. So they were advocating for some deal with Trump that includes giving up Donetsk, so something along those lines, but they don't know exactly how. But his position on why now, because he was trying to understand exactly why did Russia escalate now. And he said the reason is lack of progress. So I'm going to love you to respond to this, and I'll give you my assumption as well, but mine is very limited because I'm not keeping a close eye. What my assumption is that the munition, the stockpiles, the air defense munitions on the Ukrainian side are very low, Larry. So this is the perfect opportune moment for Putin to be able to strike Kyiv with limited defense capabilities. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that point. Is that Trump's Iran war depleted the munitions to such an extent that Ukraine is left more vulnerable than ever?
Yeah, well, I mean, Ukraine doesn't have, they're not getting any more PAC-3s, they're not getting more HIMARS.
Exactly.
Because the United States doesn't have any to give, but the notion that Russia is really slowed. This guy, does he even look at a map? So last year, the Russia was attacking basically along one axis, and that was in Donetsk. They weren't running any operations in Zaporizhia, or Kharkiv, or Sumy. They are now. They are in the process of encircling Sumy as we speak. They made important advances in and around Kharkiv. And they have continued, they finished eliminating all Ukrainian presence in Luhansk. And they've narrowed just into, they're basically three major cities left on the far western side of Donetsk. Slavyansk, Kramatorsk are the two big ones.
They're part of that belt, are they? The Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, the Donetsk belt. Is that the belt, the defensive belt that Ukraine has?
Yeah, that's the last defensive belt. Once those fall, and those will fall probably by August, if not sooner, then it's wide open to the Dnieper. So Russia. Again, these artificial deadlines that the West keeps putting up, saying, this proves how much Russia sucks. Okay, if we're using that as the standard, if Russia sucks, What does that say about the United States and its failure in Afghanistan? Complete failure in Afghanistan. And failure in Syria. So, it's using a selective standard. Let's go back to the exchange of bodies every month. Every month, 1,000 dead Ukrainians are returned, and you get 37, 39 dead Russians. And that's been consistent now going back for 17 months. So, and Russia's got a lot more bodies to return than Ukraine does. And yet they've persisted with this fantasy that, Russia's suffering these enormous losses and Ukraine somehow is gaining strength. I mean, these people are delusional. But, they push the Western propaganda line for all they're worth. What has happened, though, is, Russia's now, they've, as of today, based upon Lavrov's call to Rubio, and it was signified by the attack on KYIV 2 days ago now. This is entering a new phase, and targets that previously were off the table, they're now on. And they don't care if they're killing. They don't care if they're killing Westerners.
Would you agree with my my assumption on why now? One of the reasons that played a role is the vulnerability of the the Ukrainian air defense system because of Iran. Is that a fair assumption?
It's been vulnerable for more than good God, more than 2 years. They really have had no effective air defense for 2 years. Despite Ukraine, we shot down 90% of this. Nonsense. Just look at the numbers. What are they shooting them down with? They're certainly not shooting them down with PAC-3 missiles on the Patriot. They only received 1,000 of those PAC-3 missiles. Actually, less than that. And remember, you got to fire 2 of those against every inbound Russian missile. Just do a quick grok. Ask how many ballistic and cruise missiles has Russia fired into Ukraine since January 2025. The number, I think, is going to be more than 3,000.
And by the way, while we're speaking, Qatar, I forgot to tell you, Qatar refuted the claims that the state of Qatar offered $12 billion to Iran to ensure the conclusion of an agreement. The guy called them, I think the representative called them utterly baseless and are being circulated by parties seeking to derail the agreement and undermine diplomatic effort aimed at de-escalating tensions and promoting stability in the region. It's Al Jazeera that reported it, funny enough, so. Who's saying this as the advisor to the Prime Minister of Qatar? Qatar's diplomatic efforts, which are conducted in coordination with regional partners, are well known and transparent, and these narratives are nothing more than desperate attempts to tarnish the reputation of the state of Qatar, a reliable international player in the pursuit of peace. So the idea of $12 billion being offered by Qatar to Iran are not true. To your question on what Grok says, 3,000 to 3,800 ballistic missiles and cruise missiles.
Okay, do the math. That means to shoot those down, you need 6,000 PAC-3s. How many did Ukraine get?
7,600.
Yeah, and how many did Ukraine get? Less than 1,000. So if they're shooting those down, what are they shooting them down with? Yeah, that's where you call bullshit. I just do math. I'm not great at math. I'm not a calculus guy, but I can do addition and subtraction and division and multiplication. Okay, I got those 4 down. Fair. If nothing else, I got a little calculator I could use. But I mean, those are the actual numbers. So, so they great. They could take down 500 out of 3,600. Yeah. So maybe 15% that they shot down. What about the others?
Oh. No, I think that it's pretty common knowledge that Ukraine does not have the capacity to shoot down most of them. I don't know if they're claiming that they're shooting them down. Obviously, you said they are,
and we're not even talking. We're not even talking the Joran drones. Heavens, there have been thousands of those. I mean, 10,000, I would estimate.
Just give you an update on Iran. So these images there, you can zoom in on the image if you can, Mike. Satellite images show at least 60 IRGC Navy fast attack crafts just south of Iran's Larak Island in the Strait of Hormuz today, around the area of which 2 of the boats were struck by U.S. forces. So where the U.S. struck these 2 boats, now there's images showing at least 60 of them. Just riding around in that region.
Oh, that can't be right. That can't be right. Donald Trump told us they were obliterated. Their navy's all at the bottom of the Persian Gulf.